Welcome to day 3 of Create Your Flow. So excited to have you back again. This one, we're going to go down from the shoulders out into the wrists. Wrists actually include your fingers and are super important because a lot of stuff that we do usually involves grip. And so what grip does, it's great and we need it, but it also makes your flexors really tightened. And so what happens when this gets really tightened is that it loses the ability to go the other way. So making sure that, again, we're getting open in the other direction is so important. And we don't want to wait until it's already so restricted. We have carpal tunnel syndrome, which again is compression and restriction right in this area. Hello, it happens if we're not open and we're not allowing that nerve to glide underneath that tissue. So when that tissue gets too tight, too restrictive, that's when things like carpal tunnel will start to happen. That's where things like wrist strains, wrist injuries, all these other things will start to happen. And not only does it happen at the wrist, but it also guides up to the elbow. So when your flexors right in the front here get really tight, they actually attach into the elbow. So if this is really tight, this can start to be really tender and you can start to get tendonitis. Things like twisting starts to get irritating. Things like lifting, things like even lifting grocery bags or twisting a jar. It's going to start to get irritated. And if this is you, I highly suggest going into these next exercises. And we also want to address, remember I said before you get carpal tunnel, before you get a elbow tendonitis, right? We don't want to start doing these exercises once you have the injury, but rather before you have the injury. So the first one that we're going to test is a wrist extension. Super easy. Again, you're going to see where my own restrictions are. So forearms together, hands in front of your face. You're going to let your wrists come down and then we're going to open out. And what you should see is a completely flat tabletop position here. My right actually doesn't extend as far. And you might feel like, oh my gosh, my extensors are on fire. My fingers don't extend out all the way. That is just another indicator that your flexors don't know how to extend. Okay, so that's our first test that we're going to do. See how that one is. Next test is going to really be seeing how those nerves are gliding all the way from the neck out underneath the armpit through the arm and out to those fingers, because again, carpal tunnel comes when that nerve doesn't glide very well underneath that tissue because that tissue is getting really tight and restricted. So I want you to feel what the difference is from side to side. So you could be standing or seated. You don't have to be in this position. Okay, we're going to take the hand out to the side. So we're going to take your arm and I want you to draw your shoulder back, kind of try to bring your neck in alignment right over your pelvis. And you're going to take that shoulder blade back and then extend in the arm, and then the wrist is going to extend, fingers extend. If you already start to feel like tension or stretch or even nervy sensation, which can be numbness or tingling out into the bicep, when you do this, you know you have a bit of a nerve extension or a nerve tensioning issue. If it already starts to get a little bit worse as you extend, or you can't even feel like you can extend the fingers, then you definitely know that nerve through that arm isn't gliding very well. Then try the same for the other one. So bring that shoulder back and down, extend slowly, and then extend from the fingers. Now what I want you to feel is which one was worse. The worst one may not be the one where you feel it out into the fingers. It will be the one that you feel closer up to the neck. That's actually going to be the worst one. So that would be the one that you go into. So now you get to pick which exercise was a little bit more restricted. Now for some of you, both will be, but you get to pick one through this challenge, okay? So it's either the nerve. One hand was like, whoa, that's way up here at the shoulder. That's way out here at the bicep. That I would say is your worst one. Okay, or some of you, it was like this. Okay, so then the wrist is probably the worst one. So the first exercise we're going to do for the wrist is really just a simple stretch. So we're going to come down here. You can be standing. You do not have to be on your knees if this is uncomfortable. You can be at like a hard surface, so a table. And what you're going to do is bring the fingers back toward your knees. Come on top here. With those elbows staying straight, can you just sit back until you get a good stretch? Now I want you to hold this stretch for about 2 minutes. That's going to feel like forever, but really important to start to feel. So, and I want you to really relax. So going back into that breath, can you breathe through that lower rib cage? And really relax the fingers, relax the upper body, and relax all the way through the forearms so that those finger extend or flexors actually get the stretch and the release that you're going for. Okay, after 2 minutes, I want you to try to bring those fingers up toward the forearms. So bringing them up off, and then you can go back into it or just hold it for that one time. Totally fine. Okay, so that's the first exercise if the first test was really restricted for you. The next one is going to be bringing that arm all the way out to the side. So the test that you do is literally going to be the exercise that we do, but you're not going to push it. So again, coming into that good seated position, shoulder blade back and down, we're going to bring the arm out and fingers back. As soon as you feel that stretch, whether it's the bicep, the shoulder, the forearm, or the fingers, that's where you're going to stop. So it's not about more is better. For nerve, less is better. As soon as you feel it, that's where your stretch is, and then you come right back in. Okay, again, slowing down that breath so you start to release in that muscle tissue that's holding the tension on that nerve. We need that nerve to glide, and it glides through the tissue. So making sure that you release and you get that nervous system to relax is really important. All I want you to do is 10 of these. Just 10 nerve glides, keeping it nice and easy. Again, stopping as soon as you feel the stretch. So for some of you, that will be here. There will be no full elbow extension, no full wrist or finger extension, and that's okay. You're just going to be right here 10 times. Okay? Try to do these at least 3 times throughout today. I know the first one takes at least 2 minutes. This one takes like 10 seconds. But try to do them at least 3 times throughout the day and see how you feel the next day. Again, if you're doing the nerve one, do not push it. If you start to feel numbness and tingling early on, take a step back. Maybe you just do the wrist stretch for right now. Okay? Pick your one exercise. That's going to be the one for you, and then you're going to add it into the rest that we did. So for me, this is what my mobility routine is going to look like. And that was it. That all took me maybe a minute. Now, of course, I can hold each a little bit longer. I can do each a little bit more. But I'm showing you what it could be like to just add a little bit into your day every single day. Okay? Take it back to the breath. Lay down on the ground this time. See what that is like. Place one hand over your chest, one hand over your belly. Take some breaths into that belly hand. Expand from that lower rib cage. Relax in the upper chest hand. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, and really see and explore your body. You just added and found more restrictions and found what it's like to release those restrictions. And that is so beautiful. So I'm so proud of you. Keep it up, and we'll see you for day 4.